What's up, y'all? My name is Amir, and I am here tonight to discuss current events happening across America. We got a lot of big things happening across the United States in 2020, starting with coronavirus, the protests. So I just decided to do a late night live because it's getting harder and harder to respond on social media. So I'm trying to take out an hour out of my nights to just do some more lives. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Um, so yeah, I'm just here to answer questions, to chat a little. What's up, Erica? How you doing? What's up, Prissy? How you doing? It's getting exceedingly harder and harder as my business grows. SpeckerCBD.com, check it out. It's getting harder and harder to just have conversations throughout the day about these topics with people and my messages and my comments. And I really do want to chat about these things. What's up, Shane? How you doing? I really do want to chat about these things. So if anybody has any questions about the current events that are going on, whatever they want to chat about, I'm here for about an hour doing a late night live right now so that I can chat about all the things that I want to chat about with my friends throughout the day. But it's getting harder because I put my business first these days, and that's one of the transitions that I've had in my life, is that I put my business first before the obligation of talking to people, leisurely talking to people, hanging out with people. And this is kind of what you have to do if you, hey, what's up? This is what you have to do if Meredith, how you doing? Peter, Joseph, what's up, y'all? These are the actions and the boundaries that you have to take. But like I said, I still want to be talking to people. I still want to be talking to y'all. I miss talking to my friends every day. So that's why I'm doing these lives more so that I can just chat. If anybody has any questions, please ask them. So I just want to start off talking about Dave Chappelle's new skit that came out yesterday. It was really, really good. Uh, let's see, it was called 846. And this is pretty much the most serious Dave Chappelle skit that I've ever seen. Yo, Erica, that was wild, right? You're just like, whoa, I'm not laughing here. And it, so it's called 846 because 8 minutes and 46 seconds is how long that cop was on um, George Floyd's neck before he killed him. 8 minutes and 46 seconds. So, yeah, it seems like everybody saw it. It came out yesterday, and Joe Rogan posted about it today. I literally just finished Crazy That You're Talking About It. Hey, it's the powers of the universe, we're connected here. So it makes sense. When you start focusing on the little sides, it makes sense. What's up, Jake? How you doing? Aaron says, no lives matter. Would it be a bad time to tell people that I don't believe in civil rights? Well, I guess you just told people that you don't believe in civil rights in the comments, Aaron. So, that's, I don't know if you mean it like that. Do you mean that the government shouldn't be involved in civil rights? Because civil rights are just rights. So they're just basic human rights. And I just don't think the government should be involved in that world at all. So, yeah, the thing about the Dave Chappelle thing, so the people that watched it, this is really crazy because if you all noticed, he brought up Chris Dorner. And when this Chris Dorner thing was happening in Los Angeles, a lot of us liberty oriented people were like, oh shit, like the happening is happening. Like a cop just wrote a manifesto, a cop just tried to be a good cop, got fired, and then started killing other cops and their family. So, hey, what's up, Dan? What's up, Adam? How you doing? What's up, Mark? What's up, Shadi? How you doing? That was huge. And Dave Chappelle brought him up because he was in his manifesto, like talking about how he loves him and stuff. So I remember reading that manifesto when it first came out, and I was like, holy shit, this is so savage. But the mainstream media did such a great job of not discussing this because it doesn't fit into their narrative. Like, good cop goes, acts like a good cop, and then gets fired. And then when they found him, they surrounded his house with like 400 cops. And if I recall correctly, Dave Chappelle didn't mention it in the skit 846, but they like burned him alive. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Like they burned that place down. And there's actually a Wikipedia page here. Chris Dorner shooting a manhunt. So let's see. Final mountain cabin standoff. So yeah, let's see. Dorner opened fire on 2 officers. So the aftermath. Yeah. Like they burned him alive. So Dorner had been recovered from the burnt cabin. It was reported that human remains had been found in the search for Dorner's body in the cabin. So like this is what it shows you, and why what was happening was so powerful, because now we're seeing it in full force all across the country, but we were already seeing that in places like Los Angeles happening year after year. So it's just a fucked up scenario, but Dave Chappelle had a really great point, which was like, you all sent 400 people because he started killing a few of you. Imagine how we feel. You know, it's like, well, if you respond like that, then why are these people not able to respond the same? Like, you murdered somebody. When you do it, when somebody does it to you, you go there and send 400 of your people and burn the dude alive. And when others do it, then, you know, they're these like crazy people. And it's like, you know, I don't think that people should be targeting small businesses and things like that. I understand why people who are put in a scenario like that do the things they do. Just gonna take some Specker CBD drops real quick. Keep me nice and balanced through this live, you know. So I'll be here for about an hour. Ask me your questions in the comments. Let's chat. Aaron, you remember Chris Dorner? Yeah, bro. Like, you know, the people in the Liberty movement, this was something that we were focusing on like real closely. This happened in 2013, and Chris Dorner was former LAPD. He's dead now, because that's what happens when you go against the police in this country. Like, if you're a police, and this is the thing, the whole like good cop, bad cop thing, there are so many good cops and then they get fired. Like, there was that one dude who came out with coronavirus stuff, you know, on those car videos, told him to take it down, then they fired him. So, you know, it's the culture that needs to be changed here. And the culture came from the shitload of money that these police departments have been getting in the post 9/11 world, because from 9/11 to today, we've watched an increase in police militarization, especially during the Obama regime. And this is one of the things that people need to be more conscious of, is that people blame Trump for a lot of what Obama authorized. It didn't even exist in the Bush era. So that's the thing. While so many people were focused on Obama being the cool guy, he was going and expanding wars on a level we've never seen. He was militarizing the US police on a level we've never seen. And he was able to do these things because he was just that cool black dude. So, you know, for somebody like me who really tries to see past skin color, it's like, bro, I don't care if you're black or white. If you're killing babies, then we ain't chill, bro. That's not cool, you know? What's up, David? How you doing? We need to dismantle police unions. Yeah, you know, all government unions should be dismantled. Government unions are one of the biggest problems that we've dealt with, because what the unions do is they find ways to use every loophole in the system to protect themselves. And it's not just police unions. I mean, we could look at teachers' unions and see how corrupt the education system is because of teachers' unions. And you have all these bad apple teachers who just keep getting promoted and keep growing, and they don't get fired because of the teachers' unions. You know, like this whole like tenured professor type thing, you know? Aaron asks, what's your view on Seattle right now with the people overthrowing the police department? You know what, bro? Like, hey, what's up, Ben? How you doing? They didn't overthrow the police department. You know, one of my friends, I'm going to read you her status today. Shout out Whitney Davis for writing this status. She lives in Seattle right now. She is one of my very liberty-oriented friends, and she wrote a long post about this today. And, you know, mind you, this is not the type of person who's going to be defending any type of communist bullshit, you know. But what she wrote, this was a really long post, so I'll just read you like the first few sentences. She wrote, I'm utterly shocked how completely incorrect the media has been about the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, which is CHAZ. Or at least I'm guessing that's where people are getting this misinformation. I've had a good handful of people check in on me to make sure I'm safe. Thank you. It's seriously laughable how blown out of proportion this is. They're just having a daily block party with concerts and movie screenings at night. There was no violence, no rioting, and no looting. The protests in Capitol Hill are different from those in downtown Seattle and Bellevue. I know Seattle is all the same to everyone else, but it seems like the outside agitators left a few weeks ago. The police left on their own. They packed up, moved out, and boarded up. I still don't know why or if they're coming back or relocating. And as far as I know, the station is still intact and empty. It was not an armed Antifa militia takeover. I cannot believe this is going around. This is what really blows my mind. The police left voluntarily. Most of the protesters are extremely progressive and don't even believe in owning guns. I've only seen a pic of 2 guys carrying for protection, and good for them. I support U.S. citizens' two-way rights. The autonomous zone grew out of a no-cop co-op, and I do see the local businesses voluntarily supporting the cause because, guys, we're in Seattle and in the most progressive neighborhood of Seattle. There already were rainbow flags and BLM signs in windows everywhere. So it's crazy. She writes about like the extortion claims, Roz, who's that like the king or whatever, and what we should do about the zone. So this is a really good piece that she wrote. But this is the funny part, is that it's still a government zone. They just stopped the police service in the area. So the trash service, electricity, all these things are still, you know, they're still there. So, you know, the people that are scare tacticking about a little bit of Seattle that got taken over, you know, Trump's acting like it was a hardcore military takeover, and it's like, dude, it's a bunch of like unarmed like commies and progressives who are just communists. Like, progressive is communism. It's just another word for it. But hey, what's up? Hey, bro, I was staying with you when that Chris Dorner thing was going down. Crazy. Oh my god. Hey, what's up, Seymour, bro? You know, that's crazy. Like, I totally remember that too, because I was living in that one place, that apartment at that time when you were staying with me, and that's when it was happening. And that was like right when I was getting out of the like Ron Paul presidential times and then going into like deep into the Republican Party. And that's when I was doing all that activism there. So yeah, so Aaron, you see, like it's a lot of misinformation that's going down. You know, for me, I'm not too worried about like these types of people. It's like they're unarmed, they don't have guns. Like, if at any point you know, if shit really hit the fan, they wouldn't fare too well. So, you know, the way I look at what's happening in Seattle right now is it's a resurgence of the Occupy movement. So nobody was saying, oh, there's a hostile communist anarchist military takeover. Like, when Occupy was happening, they were doing the same thing. They were going and occupying streets, not allowing the police there. You know, what do you think about temperature checks? I think it's just more fear mongering. I will not support any business that forces me to do that if I have to go into their business. I actually had somebody on LinkedIn try to connect with me today, and this was their message. And sorry, homeboy, but I ain't trying to connect with people who promote the things that you're doing. Hi, Amir. I hope that your family and colleagues are safe in these troubling times. It's troubling times. It's not troubling times, bro. These are just times. They're good times for me because every time alive is a good time. Would love to join your network if it makes sense to you. Let me know if you're in need of a contactless temperature screening solution for your dispensary. Well, first of all, I don't own a dispensary. That's LinkedIn is so annoying because it's just a bunch of shitty salespeople who just send all these messages and they don't do their due diligence. So if you're trying to do cold calls, cold sales and stuff on LinkedIn, for fuck's sakes, please at least do a little bit of research about what I do. It's crazy the things that people will think I do. And it's like, dude, if you just went and looked in what I do for a living, you would know. Like this guy, providing businesses with face recognition and non-contact temperature detection technology for post-COVID-19 reopening initiatives. Fuck out of here with that. No, I'm not down for that. So if anybody has any questions, please ask them in the comments. I'm going to be here for about like 30, 45 more minutes. But yeah, like it's gross. I'm like, ugh. Like, I'm actually going to read about this guy. Let's read about it. I'm not going to say his name. You know, respect that, but founding COO at ULC. So, like, that's the thing. It's like, okay, so a lot of these people that are going into these industries right now are doing it because they don't see any other place to make money. So what happened with the cannabis industry, especially the CBD world, that I've seen over the last 4 months or so, is that so many people transitioned from CBD to, or just like the hemp space in general, to face masks, hand sanitizers. Now look, what's the next thing? Contact tracing, temperature check, bullshit technology. Like, yeah, I'm not down. While I'm down for private businesses to do what they want, that doesn't mean that I have to support the private businesses' idiotic recommendations and policy positions. So, yeah. Did I see the statement, World Health Organization retracted about asymptomatic people not transferring the COVID virus? Like, no shit. You know what's funny is that actually, if you go and watch one of the latest videos on my Instagram, it was France's former health minister, and he blows the lid on a lot of shady shit. I'll read it to y'all right now, actually. Let's see. Yeah, I was pretty surprised when I saw this. This is like really big news and nobody's really talking about it, but I saw it and I am utterly shocked. Yeah, so you saw that. So Philippe Blasi is the former French health minister, 2017 candidate for director of the World Health Organization and former Undersecretary General of the United Nations. He recently revealed that in a 2020 Chatham House closed door meeting, both the editors of The Lancet and the New England Journal of Medicine, these are both highly respected publications for scientific research. Like, these are publications that I'll use for legit scientific research. They stated their concerns about the criminal pressures of big pharma on their publications. The editor-in-chief of The Lancet, Richard Horton, said this in a leaked document. Now, we are not going to be able to basically, if this continues, publish any more clinical research data, because the pharmaceutical companies are so financially powerful today and are able to use such methodologies as to have us accept papers which are apparently methodologically perfect, but which in reality manage to conclude what they want to conclude. And this right here is such a big problem in the pharmaceutical world. It's just the problem with every big corporate world, where the corporations at the very top of the world have to use scientific research to give to the government, to get their funding, to pass regulatory burdens, and they'll do whatever they need to make that happen. So the crazy thing is that it's getting so bad that you have the former French health minister on the news in France blowing the lid on this. So this is not a small little thing here. This is a huge deal. So I was shocked when I saw that last night, because it's showing the transition that's starting to happen, where even in the mainstream world, the top of that top in that corporate world, which would be like a French health minister, you know, somebody who is running to be the director of the World Health Organization. Like, this isn't some middle level guy. Like, this is the top of the top, the guy who's working with these companies. And, so it's mind blowing to me. Because what it's showing me is that the transition is happening. This is going to empower way more people to start blowing the lid. And, we already see this in so many other industries, like, for example, like fracking in oil. We all know they manipulate that data to make it look like it's safer than it is. But that's how they do it. That's how big corporations do things. But, when, for example, like hydroxychloroquine, which is that anti-malaria drug that Trump was touting for coronavirus cure, this was one of the reasons that they were talking about it. They were finding that they were kind of manipulating this kind of data. So anytime somebody doesn't feel good or coming down with a cold flu, they will automatically panic because of COVID. Yeah, see, that's the issue that's happening right now, is that I've had so many people say to me, "Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure I had corona." How are you pretty sure you had it? Like, did you get tested? No. And then the tests are all coming back, or so many of them are coming back faulty. They found coronavirus on coronavirus tests. So totally in Canada doing the same shit with pipelines. Yeah, Joseph, that's the thing with Canada just takes educational information from the United States on how to properly oppress, so people pretend that the Canadian government is so much better than the United States government, but not really. They're just smaller, so they don't have the ability to oppress on the level that the US does. But you better bet your ass that that's a Commonwealth country and oppression is in their DNA. So what's the population of Canada? 37.59 million. Like, that's almost California's population. Like, California's population, 39.51 million. California has a bigger population than all of Canada combined. So just goes to show you that a lot of these countries who do oppressive shit, Canada, super anti-gun, treating indigenous people like pieces of shit, does oil, they're imperialists too. Hey, what's up, Dustin? How you doing? So, in America, we're always like, oh, those Canadians, ha, 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 like, we're laughing about it. It's just like, bro, they would literally be doing the same thing if they had the power to do so. And we could just look at Commonwealth history or just Canadian history to see what they were doing through all of Canadian history. So They're totally screwing over the indigenous people over there. See, they've always screwed the indigenous populations over there, but that's the interesting thing, is that we think that Canada and America are so different, but that's kind of my point, is that they're all doing the same imperialist shit. And, you know, imperialism in the modern Western context is very standardized. If you study the Japanese, what the Japanese essentially did when they grew big into their fascist regime, and then it grew eventually, and then World War II happened. Um, Literally, what they did was they're like, we're just going to go study Western imperialist styles and do exactly the same thing. And that's what they did. And that's why they were successful in what they were doing in empire building. Because if you want to build an empire in the modern era, the West has given a nice little roadmap of oppression on how to properly do that. So, see if anybody has any questions, please ask them in the comments. Let's chat. In the meantime, check out spectercbd.com, because it'll help you with life. I'm the CEO of that company. I also am the product formulator. And, you know, I think that more CEOs need to be putting their ass on the line to talk about these issues. And this is actually one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight as well, is the virtue signaling I'm seeing from so many businesses, so many prominent individuals in this world, influencers and such. So if you don't know what virtue signaling is, it's a big term in the liberty movement. Joseph says $60 isn't a bad deal on that CBD, actually. Yeah, you know what? And another thing too with Specker CBD is I source using super, super high quality ingredients. So my bottom line is always higher than the competitors as well. And the big difference here is that the product actually works. There's efficacy on the product. There's high absorption on the product, because when I formulate products, I have to formulate them for myself. I don't just formulate things to not work. They have to work on me. I have to sell myself. And if I can't sell myself on a high quality product, and I still think some competitor product is better, then I'm not going to release that product. So I only release products when I am very confident that my formulation is very superior compared to others. And that's why, like with these Specker CBD drops, they work so well because of the carrier I use, because of the heat that I make it at, you know, because of how I store it. And there's so many different reasons why Specker CBD products work so much better than everybody else's. And that's one of the big compliments that I get often, is like, wow, I tried so many CBD products and they didn't do shit for me. And then I tried yours and then it worked so well. I'm like, yeah, that's because of human error. Because the people who are formulating those CBD products don't have the right mindset for formulations. And, you know, just to give y'all some, Joseph, I am an Aries, fire as fire. So, you know, to give a background on these formulations, one of the things that I focus on when I'm formulating any product, and what I recommend that you focus on if you want to just start experimenting with product design at home, which is how I started like 10 years ago. You know, I'll just go look up some ingredients and then I would put it all together and I'd be like, oh, cool. So if you ever want to do that, I recommend focusing on these things: micronutrients, essential nutrients, and anti-nutrients. So, and the macronutrient content is obviously important too, but I focus way more on like micros and antis than macros, because like, you know, the micros together create that macro. So, one of the reasons that products just don't work that well is because when they're making the products, they have a lot of anti-nutrients in them. And I've actually been working on this article for the last 5 days about what are anti-nutrients, and a lot of formulators have no clue that these actually affect absorption and efficacy. And I realize that because I've just studied so many different things over the years, translated dietary blueprints over into ingredients formulations. So I originally learned about anti-nutrients from going paleo like many years ago, to where I was like, oh well, why are things like grains and legumes not allowed? Well, because they're high in anti-nutrients and your body wasn't designed to break down those compounds. But now I took the logical conclusion of my ideas, and I pretty much don't eat plants for food at all anymore. For example, when I'm using these Specker CBD drops, that would be two plants together, which would be the MCT oil that comes from coconut, and then the CBD, which comes from hemp. So that's the interesting thing, is that with this, for example, with 99% MCT and 99% CBD, that makes it so that anti-nutrients are just drastically diminished. So what I did was, through all of these years, I started out with, the main anti-nutrients, which were things like phytates, lectins, and then saponins. I took the logical conclusion of my ideas, and then that kind of led me to glucon glucosinolates. Glucosinolates. See, I'm like still trying to say these words fast. Or like salicylates. That's another anti-nutrient as well. Oxalic acid. That's another anti-nutrient as well. Protease inhibitors. Like these are all things that block nutrient absorption. So when you eat foods and you eat like 7 different plants on top of each other, and then you eat some meat with it, well, what the anti-nutrients do is they bind to the nutrients, like the essential nutrients. So oxalate will bind to calcium, and then that creates like the oxalic acid is what gives kidney stones. So a kidney stone is just oxalate buildup in your body. What does that do? It binds to the calcium. It doesn't allow the calcium in the food like spinach to break away. It binds to it, and then it doesn't allow it to be what it's supposed to be, which is an essential nutrient. So that's why I transitioned over from a plant-based lifestyle to an animal-based lifestyle, because once I took the logical conclusion of my own beliefs, which is like, yeah, all plants have anti-nutrients in a way that we're not supposed to be fucking with heavily, we start realizing like, okay, well, this is why humans were designed to eat animals and perhaps not have plant-based diets unless we're starving. So let's see. Aaron says, do you believe there has to be a central authority, at least in a small community, that dictates and upholds the non-aggression principle? Without it, there will be individuals who will not be able to protect themselves from things like family instabilities. Would this be an exception to the rule, or is there an anarcho-capitalist solution that I didn't think of? Well, first of all, the only primary authority should come down to you, unless you gave up that right contractually to somebody else. But then still, that's not a right to give to somebody else, if that makes sense. So as far as a central authority, what you're saying is like certain businesses where you would be giving your money to that handle certain industries. So central authority for what? That dictates and upholds the non-aggression principle. So like security firms, like the private security firms. So that would be part of defense in a free society. I would recommend looking up Robert Murphy, and just typing in like law, Robert Murphy law, or Robert Murphy defense, and he is one of the forefront. He is at like the forefront of the philosophy of private law in the anarcho-capitalist community. So, it seems like, Aaron, I would recommend just researching private law more. And there are plenty of historical precedent for private law throughout history. Um, you know, yeah, that's like the non-aggression principle will be upheld in a free society because that is the social contract essentially. So, in an anarcho-capitalist solution, you would still have a social contract per se, but a lot of that social contract is like written contract, so it's like I consented to this. It's explicit versus implicit consent. And that's what makes an anarcho-capitalist society different than a statist society, is that I gave direct consent. I didn't give you consent just because I'm like standing here or I was born here, What's up, Jojo? How you doing? Yeah, Tom Woods too. Man, it's funny, when I met Tom Woods, I like fanboyed so hard years ago. Yeah, definitely economists that I take advice from about economics, not about other things. So that's the thing. In this world, you have to realize that you're going to agree with a lot of people, but then when you go deeper into what they believe, you're going to be like, like, Uh, and I'm sure you've seen some of the Tom Woods things that you're like, really, man? Whatever. Like, you're a great economist. Let's just keep it at that. So, great historian too. Has a great podcast. Great guests. Like, he's really impartial in that sense. So I like people that operate in that way, where I'm not going to agree with you, but there are certain important areas that I do agree with you on, and I'm going to put my primary focus on those agreements over focusing on the disagreements. And I believe that everybody should practice that more and more in their lives, because the more you practice that, the more happiness and balance you will have in your life. Um, all right, let's see. Another thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was talking about like defunding the police. And I posted this meme the other day that was like, ending the war on drugs will defund the police. And if y'all were here in my live the other day, that's exactly what I was talking about. Like, and I brought up all these drug war statistics, and it's more clear than ever that a lot of the police brutality problems happening today is authorized through the money that they get on the war on drugs. Because I need to find like a statistic on this, but I'm pretty sure this is a proper claim that there are way more victimless crimes in the law books than there are crimes that have a real victim. So, like, tax evasion, drug laws, bullshit where it's like you're not hurting anybody directly. It's just the government said you can't do that, and now they criminalize it. So they criminalize otherwise non-violent behavior. So Meredith says, "What are your thoughts on QAnon?" QAnon is controlled opposition, and I don't buy QAnon. If I can give you any piece of advice right now, is that if you see a QAnon video, turn it off. Turn it off and go watch something else. Simple as that. QAnon, in my view, is designed to confuse you from the real facts. So, yeah. not down for QAnon. I've been in this game for a really long time, and I have a lot of otherwise intelligent friends who are buying this QAnon bullshit going down. Anonymous is one thing, but QAnon, I smell that bullshit from a mile away. So, yeah, you see QAnon, just cut it. Cut it, go. But here's an important thing about QAnon. The way that they confuse people is that they talk about legitimate ideas. Like, they're really bringing up the topics that truthers are seeking, but their conclusions and where they take you from their premise is so faulty that it's just like, don't even pay attention to it, especially if you just took the red pill and you're just waking up. Don't let these be the people that dictate what you're trying to go towards. So, the FBI had a program in the past called COINTELPRO, which was counterintelligence program. So maybe this is another. They said COINTELPRO ended in 1971, but okay. And look, and so it was a series of covert and illegal projects, but it's okay if the government does it, conducted by the United States FBI, aimed at surveilling, infiltrating, discrediting, and disrupting American political organizations. So, who is the American political organization that's getting dominant? It is the freedom movement right now, the liberty movement, and just those ideas. So, yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that this is some kind of government narrative used to sway the conversation. Because that's the thing, yeah, Merida, what you said is like Trump is their savior. So their conclusion is anybody who differentiates the deep state from the state and then thinks that they're different just doesn't understand how the state works. That's just the anatomy of the state. And if you've never read the book Anatomy of the State by Murray Rothbard, I would highly recommend it. It was the book that really took me down. A is a psyop. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that's exactly. There's psyop, like COINTELPRO. That's essentially the psyop that was really caught by the American government, So, look here on the Wikipedia page, it says COINTELPRO memo proposing a plan to expose the pregnancy of actress Jean Seberg, a financial supporter of the Black Panther Party, hoping to possibly cause her embarrassment or tarnish her image with the general public. Covert campaigns to publicly discredit activists and destroy their interpersonal relationships were a common tactic used by COINTELPRO agents. So, for somebody like myself who is an absolute student of history, it's clear. So, that's interesting. So yeah, this was under like the Hoover administration under the FBI. He was the FBI director. I don't know if y'all have seen that movie about him with, I think, Leonardo DiCaprio. It's called like J. Edgar. Was Leo in that? Actually, I don't think Leo was in that. Let me check. Hold on. Might have just said something wrong. Oh yeah, Leo. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, that was Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, I remember that movie. So if y'all haven't studied J. Edgar Hoover's FBI, one of the reasons that it's so just not down for freedom is primarily because of J. Edgar Hoover's influence on the FBI and how he transitioned the FBI into what it is today. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask them. I'm going to be here for about 15 more minutes. Let's see. Let's get on live with one of y'all. Let's go. Let's go. Damn. All right. So if anybody has any questions, please ask them. Richard, I am about to add you on Facebook right now. You know we have 112 mutual friends. Yeah, we friends there now too. How you doing? I'm doing good, bro. I took a long nap today and just like decided let's chat. Let's have a fun time chatting. We got to get this freedom movement going to the next level now. You know, I've been around here since 2007 when I first became a libertarian. Was that you too?
Yeah, actually, it was January 6th, 2008.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember it very specifically, oddly enough. I don't know if you want to hear the story or not, but
I would love to hear your story because it's so interesting hearing how people had their conversion, you know, especially at that time because we were such a small number. By 2012, that number like increased drastically, but like, you know, that 2008, 2007 time, like that was like we were alone, man, you know, yeah.
yeah, that was nuts. It was I'll condense the story. Oh, it looks like you're taking some of your awesome CBD right there. Nice. Okay, I need to order some of that from you. For real. After hearing some of the stuff you were talking about, because I myself have been studying that same stuff quite a bit, and I'm kind of partnering with some other business folks in that area. After hearing what you were saying, I was like, oh shit, this guy really knows what he's talking about. Finally, someone who really actually knows, and it was very refreshing. So
Yeah, if you need formulation scientist, I am your man. You know, I'm trying to change the formulation game right now because out of my own frustrations is actually why I started these companies in the first place. Because I was trying all these different products for so many years, whether it was food, supplements, cannabis products, whatever. They were just garbage, and I'm spending all this money on it, and I'm like, bro, this shit's not working. Like, and then I'm looking at the ingredients, and I'm like, I can make this in my kitchen. So.
hold on, okay, little side note. This is funny because this is how I got into distillation. So I don't know if you know this about me, but I have a history of winemaking and beer making and distillation.
I just saw that, yeah.
Yeah, so this is something that got me interested in that because I was tasting, you know, these really high-end different alcohols and thinking like, oh my God, I can do better than this, especially for the price. This is ridiculous. And so I started tapping into my physics chemistry background, and I was like, yeah, I can do better than that. And so I started, whatever. Anyways, that's going to be coming down the pipe within the next year. So, really happy about it. But, whenever I became a libertarian, right, I was on my way back from the Bay Area, California.
That's where I'm at right now.
Oh, you are?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was born and raised in the Bay Area. I lived in Los Angeles for the last 12 years. So, but my entire family is here in the Bay Area still. So I'm here right now with them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where my parents are from.
What city?
So my dad and my mom, mostly from Vallejo and Napa.
Hell yeah.
We went out there over the course of New Year's Eve, you know, partied and had fun, and I brought two of my best friends. We're driving back to New Mexico and get in this gnarly car crash. End up spending the night in Arizona, and I end up watching this political debate on the television. It's middle of the night, and I see Ron Paul, and he's talking a whole lot of complete common sense. I'm like,
Hell yeah, hell yeah. That's so funny because it was the same. Like I had a very similar. My cousin sent me he told me, "Hey, bro, there's this guy, and I think you're gonna love him, but he's a Republican." And I was like, "Republican? Fuck that! Nah, nah." Like at that time, I was what I thought was an anti-war liberal because I was just super anti-war. So I assumed, like, okay, well, the liberals are all anti-war. In retrospect, they were just anti-George Bush. And, they made us believe that anti-war means liberal, but it doesn't at all, as the Obama regime showed us. But I was like, nah, bro, fuck that. I'm not down for Republicans. I was just being like that guy. I was like about 18, 19 years old. And he's like, listen, bro, you're a smart guy. Just have an open mind. And literally after like a couple of videos, I was like, this is exactly what I believe. He just put words to everything what? So that was, from there. And let me ask you, like, how long did it take you to go from, Ron Paul constitutionalist to anarcho-capitalist? Hey, Richard.
Probably, let's see, it must have been, it took me a little while, oddly enough. I remember the day whenever I finally got dump, uh, I was, I was actually working in, that's, this was back when I worked in Don, and all of a sudden, I was thinking about stuff I was doing. I was like pouring mold, and it hit me. It was like, oh shit! I just kept making excuses. And
Hey, bro, I can't hear like half of the shit you're saying again. Sorry. It's like all blocked out. I can't hear
did
you.
you catch on that?
No, I missed it all. It's just all like frozen. I saw you hitting your vape though. But it didn't take me. It took me. I think 2011 is when I read Anatomy of the State, and that's when I was like, right after I read Anatomy of the State, I was like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna take the logical conclusion to this idea, and that was it. So, oh man, we lost Richard here. We got him here right now. Richard. Uh, yeah, we got you totally frozen, my bro. All right, I'm gonna cut this one. Go outside so we can chat. I can't hear you, bro. I gotta cut this. I gotta cut. I can't hear a word you're saying. Come back in. Hey, Richard. Come back in. Come back in here. Let's chat. Hey, what's up, my bro? How you doing? So we are. Hey, Jaw Kim, how you doing, bro? Good to see you in here. We're just chatting current events in the United States right now. Things are going a little crazy out here. I'm gonna be here for probably like 5, 10 more minutes, and then I need to go to sleep. But I was just in here with the homie Richard, the dankest vanilla. I should give him a follow. He is a meme lord. But I was just talking to him about COINTELPRO and how I'm pretty sure a lot of what's going on in the movement right now is just a lot of government infiltrations, discrediting, and disruptions because they're the monopoly. So it makes complete sense. I ain't even mad about it. I understand that this is the game. This is the game of empires and how you keep your power. So, you just have to play smarter than those people. And if you do that, then eventually you can get to the top as well. So, hoping for a day where the people who work at the FBI are on the same page, the page of peace and freedom. So, if you're my FBI man watching, I mean, I don't want to assume your gender, but if you're the FBI homies watching, I love you. Go do some meditation. Uh, Visualize greatness, visualize peace. We don't have to be as oppressive as this world is. Um, I'm always pretty sure that, given the things I've said over these many years, I might be having some government on me. But I don't care because I actually want. Hey, what's up, Adam? How you doing, bro? Good to see you in here. I'm chatting American current events. I was just talking COINTELPRO. Been trying to do more of these lives recently because it's getting harder and harder as Specker grows to just like chat with the homies and stuff throughout the day. So now I'm here chatting with y'all, and it's good to see all the Liberty homies in here. The Q posts tap into people's deep psychological yearning of patriotism that encourage them to believe this psyop. Exactly. See, they do it so well because all they're doing is like they went into what we were focusing on, and then as a result, they took all that stuff and then added like the Trump God King Christian type lens to it. And you're like, that's not the logical conclusion is not an empire. And that's where they're taking the logical conclusion. Like, we're going to beat all these deep state people so that we're the state. So the state wins. Like, well, the state still wins. So you're saying you're fighting the deep state, but the deep state is the state. That's you guys. So that's what I was saying. Anybody who thinks that there's a difference between the state and the deep state, like, you don't understand the anatomy of the state. Yeah, the state is compartmentalized. Yeah, maybe a senator is not going to know about some secret weapons program, and maybe that's compartmentalized. But that doesn't mean that they're separate from the state. So they still have to fall under the state, even if it's like black ops type stuff. They have a black budget, so that deep state is the state. So yeah, agreed on Q. It's a psyop to make sure no one is actually doing anything. I don't care if I have the state on me either. Yeah, this is ending in about a minute 30 seconds. I hate how this Instagram ends after an hour. It's really, really annoying. I'm on Facebook right now too, but it's just so annoying that every hour I have to cut this and then come back. It's like, well, what if I want to do an hour and 20 minutes? I can do that here on Facebook, but I can't do it here on Instagram. So even though they're the same platform. So I'm probably going to cut this out right now. If y'all were here, it was great chatting with y'all. Thank you for showing up. I love you. Go meditate. Eat some healthy food. Don't eat carbohydrates. They're not good for you. Go outside. Wake up in the morning. Go outside right when you wake up. Go wake up with the sun. Go do breath work. Visualize. Practice self-awareness. Practice self-responsibility. Practice happiness. Practice love. And if you're ever feeling down, just look in the mirror and smile. And just force yourself to smile because it will rewire your mind and body to be the happiest version of yourself. And if that doesn't work, smile and then laugh. Just do it. Just do it. It works. I love you all. Peace and love. Chat soon.